start off the, are you going? Let me know when you are. Okay, we're gonna actually start off the body mechanics class before we start, because that is basically the fundamentals of everything else. Everyone else might make you think that single sword is the fundamentals, but we're actually gonna learn about how to swing. So, we're gonna talk about the directions of the blade, which we use bats, so we're gonna just lie about that. So there are 4 different angles we're gonna talk about. So the side, the same side as your thumb, everyone get your hand on your sword real quick. The same side as your thumb is gonna be the full, as in a full wrap. A wrap doesn't, this side doesn't have to be a wrap though. You can throw it just straight without very much angle at all. You can also throw it really deep, it doesn't need to be that way. The opposite side is gonna be the chop. Let's say this together, chop.
Chop.
Other side, what is it? Same side as thumb?
Wrap.
Full, full. Doesn't need to be a wrap. Again, you can throw it straight. Very weird, but you can throw it this way. There are instances in which you can't throw it like that. On the inside is the flat, like the palm of your hand, flat. So flat, your back of your pip hand, back hand. So flat, back. So let's say that. Inside the palm is what?
Flat.
Flat. What's on the outside? Okay, so let's run through this real quick. Same side as thumb. Opposite side of thumb.
Chop.
Inside hand.
Flat.
Outside?
Flat.
Okay. So when you throw shots, you want to think about where your tip is ending and where your hand's ending. So if I'm throwing this right here, what did I just throw? What side of the blade did I hit with? Chop. My hand is on the same side, or the same angle as my tip. So the end hand placement is going to be mid, the end tip placement is going to be low. So everyone that should be familiar with this, what kind of shot is this? What do we normally call this? What shot? Go to your right hand real quick. What do we normally call this?
High cross.
Thank you. So when you throw a high cross, it's actually a type of chop if you're throwing it this way, on the opposite side of your thumb. Where's my hand, high or low?
High.
Where's my tip?
Low.
Okay. So if I throw a shot with my tip down here and my hand low, where am I open? High. We'll come back to this in a minute. So we're going to talk about the body mechanics of all this. So when you throw a shot, you're either going with forwards momentum or backwards momentum. You're either about to linebacker charge them or you're jellyfish them. So a linebacker charge chop would look more like that. A jellyfish chop is like that, forwards, backwards. The other dynamic of a shot is going to be either upwards or downwards momentum. You're either coming downward or you're rising upward. So when you think about a shot, you want to think about the angle of your blade. You want to think if you're going forwards or backwards, up or down. So when would be a good time to throw a shot that's going forwards? Anyone? So if I want to throw a shot that's coming forwards, when would be a good time to do that? When do normally people do that?
Someone's got more ready to go.
Someone's got more range, he's backpedaling, whatever. So if you take a step back, I anticipate him going backwards. When would be a good time to throw a shot coming towards me? Huh? On the defense, yes. So if he steps in, I pull back and off. So we got that. All right. Let's move on from there. What am I trying to think of? Demonstrations. So touch that a second. So we're going to talk about the different muscle groups when we throw a shot. So do you got what muscle groups down here? Calves. Okay, these are your calves. How do you use your calves? Show me. Tiptoe. Up and down, up and down. Calf raises, whatever, that's how you use them. Here are your quads. How do you activate your quads? Bending your knees. In, out. How do we use our hips? Rotation. So when you rotate with your hips, your front hip, the right, so again to your single sword position, right foot forward, real quick, guard up. So if we're going to throw a shot that's coming forward, our hip's going to start backward, okay? So go ahead, and with your hip, pull back. So can you go around and adjust them? Yeah. So if we want to throw a shot coming forward, we need to reverse that motion. So your hip, go ahead and throw it forward, just so that you know where it isn't supposed to be. Then you're going to rotate it back. This is going to set it in place so you can spring forward when you finally go to throw. Okay, so the next muscle group that we're going to go to is the shoulder. Go ahead and put your hands out like this. Go ahead and pull your arms back using your shoulders. It seems very small, it's not much. You're not using your bicep, tricep, you're not bending inward, you're pulling back with your shoulder. We're good on that, everyone know how to do that. Okay, The next muscle group we're going to talk about is bicep tricep, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So correct me on this. It is bicep that pulls back, tricep that goes forward. When we throw shots, we're either pulling back like a wrap, and our biceps engaging, or we're throwing forward like a chop, and our tricep is engaging. Have I lost anyone yet? Any questions? Okay. The last thing that a lot of people forget is the forearm. So we're going to talk about grip real quick. A lot of people in this kingdom use the Filipino or the OK grip. There are times you'll use this and there are times that you will not. This should not be your default grip though. Go ahead and hold the palm on your left hand. Put your thumb on the sword, just your thumb. And wherever you're pressing on the sword, you're going to put your pointer finger there. Same height, and the rest of them will wrap down. This will naturally put your wrist forward. If you have any questions about whether or not you're going to lose your thumb in this process, you can either default to a hammer grip, where you just claw the thing, or you can just put it off to the side. Those are two options if you feel like you have any issues taking on really hard shots for somebody. So when you hold it like this, you can engage your forearm like this. So go ahead and pull your wrist back just a little bit, and then you're going to pop forward. You don't want to throw a lot of force into that, because if I throw a lot of force doing this, go ahead and block it real hard when I do this. That's going to put a lot of pressure on my wrist, and it's going to hurt a lot. There are not a lot of things going on supporting the wrist. The point of the wrist is foraging, grabbing stuff. You're trying to get into a hole, you're doing this. It's not supposed to be a major muscle group. But if you ignore using your forearm, which turns inside, outside, you're not going to get a lot of power or speed out of your shots. We're not really trying to hit hard in this game, we're trying to hit fast. Mass times acceleration equals force. So if we're hitting harder, we're either adding more mass to it, which is either throwing our body into it, or we're using the stick. So by hitting harder in a sense, we're hitting faster. So somebody swinging from back here, are they swinging faster? It's a bit of a trick question. So if I start my shot from here, fast. If I start from back here, it's technically faster, but the shot overall is slower because I have to start from back here and completely unwind. So technically the sword is moving faster, but it takes longer to get there than it needs to. So when we throw a shot, let's go ahead and go through the muscle groups again. How do we engage our calves? Tippy toes. How do we engage our knees, our quads? Squatting, unsquatting. How do we do our hips? You're going to set in, out, you're going to rotate, throwing it forward. Yeah. Come up here, fist, real quick. So it's not you leaning. If you're leaning, you're kind of setting your hips, but you're more or less using your knees. Go ahead and do what you just did. That's how you use your hips. It swivels back and forth. Okay, go ahead and go back in. How do we use our shoulders? Pull back, up, whatever. How do we use our bicep triceps? Yeah. How do we use our forearms? I know I didn't really cover it much. Yes, we're going to turn over our forearm. So if you really want to focus on this, put your hand on your elbow. You can feel your forearm turning over. And that's the motion that you'll do. A lot of people throw chops like that. There's a time and a place for it. But honestly, when you throw a chop, your hand will actually start a little bit inside. So we're going to talk about a perfect forward momentum shot, a chop, that's going upwards, okay? So if you want to follow along, that's fine, but we'll do that again in a minute. So if I want to throw a shot coming forward and up, I need to do the reverse of where I'm ending. So if my hand is here, where is my elbow pointing? Down or out? So we're going to reverse that. We're going to point the elbow out. Now is my bicep tricep extended, or is it pulled in? So we're going to do the opposite of that. Is my shoulder forward or back? Forward. We're going to pull that back. Is my hip forward or back? Forward. So we're going to pull it back. Are my knees extended or not? So we're going to bend them. So are my calves engaged or not? So we're going to pull them back. So now from this position, we're going to undo it. So what happens first? Calves. So what do I do?
Push up.
Push up. How do I use the next group? What's the next group? Quads. Quads. This big meaty area is your quads. So how do I use them?
Push up.
I unbend my knees. I unbend my knees. How do I use my hips? How do I use my shoulder? How do I use my bicep tricep? How do I use my forearm? My forearm is going to turn in. You're looking a little confused. Did I lose you anywhere? Okay.
The forearm is going to help control the angle of the elbow, or the direction of the elbow rather. So if it starts outward, when he goes to finish it, it's going to rotate over and it's going to end up down.
This is how you get most of the angles on your shots. You can throw shots using your wrist and everything else, but you will not get a lot of speed, you will not get a lot of power, and you can end up hurting yourself. There are some shots I do throw with my wrist, but I do not recommend them as a starting point. For the most part, if I'm trying to hit something like this, I'm not doing this. There's no reason to do that. Because if I fake him, right, and his hand's there, if I have to go, he has time to block. But instead, if I fake him, go to your other hand real quick. If I fake him, he drops there, all I need to do is do a very well executed body shot. So, here, boom, just in, out. But if I do this long, weird angle and use my wrist, he's gonna have enough time to block. If not hit me first. So, let's go through, here, come up. We're gonna have you walk through the motions of throwing a perfect forward chop with upward momentum, okay? Travis, why don't you switch sides? No, switch sides. Oh, yeah. So we can get on this side? Yeah. Okay, if he wants to throw, this is the same shot we just worked on. What do we need to start off with? Calves. Okay, so if he's coming upwards, where do his calves need to be? Probably right where they're at. They're not engaged. Okay? What about his knees? Do they need to be bent or unbent? So bend your knees just a little bit. Okay, his hip, his back. Okay. His shoulder, back. Okay, what about his forearm? Where does his elbow need to be pointing? It needs to be pointing out just a little bit. So now we're going to engage that. So I'm actually going to adjust you a little bit. Bring this foot right under here. My hand is right there. Yeah. And then we're going to bring this one out there. Okay. So we're now going to try and throw that shot. So raise on your calves, on your tippy toes, sorry. You're going to both of them are, yeah. You're going to unbend your knee. You're going to raise the hip forward, shoulder forward, and then you're going to turn the forearm over. We're doing a chop though, so the same side as the thumb. Yeah, lock that wrist. So let's try that again. So let's reset. Yeah. Not the quads. Yes. Raise your tippy toes. Yeah. Unbend your knees. So weird. Yeah. Shoulder forward. Out. So try and do that real quick. Doesn't need to be right, but just try it. How's that feel?
It's going to feel weird to you because you don't fight like that.
Because I don't fight like this at all. Alright, let's get in the groups. We'll two partners real quick, and we'll just try going back and forth doing them. I'll go around. We can cut it for right now. Let's try just